Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Hey, this is Dave Negri with Contractor's Secret Weapon. And today I just want to thank everyone for stopping by and listening to what we have to say. And, you know, I have wanted to always keep everyone up to date on a lot of things that are coming up. And Google Local is probably at the top of that list for many people. And so today I have a special guest, Joy Hawkins, who's a local SEO expert. And she's Google My Business top contributor. She contributes to many online communities, a local SEO world, including Google My Business Forum. She's a top contributor, local search forum. She's a top contributor, and local university forum, where she's a moderator. She is also contributor to Moz, local search ranking factor survey. She's the owner of Sterling Sky in Canada and is the author of Expert's Guide to Local SEO, which is an advanced training manual for people wanting a detailed look at what it takes to succeed in the local SEO space. And she's a mom of 3. So she's pretty busy and going all the time. So, hey, before we get into the conversation with Joy in the interview, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb.
So I just want to thank you for being with us today. And I know you're kind of busy with everything that's going on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So, like I said in the beginning, Google is the big gorilla that everyone looks at, and they have dominated so much of the marketing space, and that's where they get most of their money and stuff, but they continue to change. And I know that for a lot of local contractors, that Google Local should play a very important part in their optimization, so their customers can find them. So, what's new in that space right now?
Yeah, well, Google has been pumping out new features like crazy this quarter. So they've got quite a bit that's new. So specifically a couple of things that they've pulled out. One of them is Google Posts, which is all these features that I'm going to talk about are inside Google My Business. And for people that aren't sure what that is, it's a dashboard that Google has for business owners who want to claim their listing on Google. So basically you verify that you own the business or you have control over the business by sending out a postcard and getting the postcard in the mail and entering your PIN number. That shows Google that you are actually at that business address. And then once you have your listing created on Google, you can add things to it like photos and whatnot. And this is the listings that show up in that little map section when you do a search for like a plumber or an electrician or whatnot. You get what we call the 3-pack. So inside the Google My Business dashboard, the post feature launched, I think in the end of June. And essentially what it is, it's the way for business owners to directly post updates onto the Google search results page. And it's kind of like Twitter, I'd like to think. They're short, little updates. You can have a picture and like a link for more details. So similar to like what you post on Facebook, any specials that you're doing, anything you want to highlight about your business, like an award you won, wow, things like that. And it shows up whenever someone searches your business name or sees your listing and they click for more details. It shows, all the information like reviews and hours and stuff. What's kind of unique about the post feature is that the posts only stay live for 7 days. So it's good and bad, good for marketers. But the average business owner probably won't remember to go in there every 7 days and add something new. So once the post expires, it comes off the listing. And if you don't add a new one, then essentially like there won't be anything there in that section. They also allow you to add events too. So for those, probably not so much for contractors, but I know like my church, for example, uses the events feature kind of for events that they do in the community, and it gives details about when the event's happening and where and all that stuff.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any way to automate for a contractor? Well, there's two ways probably. Hire someone to do it, or which would probably be the easiest way to make sure that it gets done, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only way. They're not automated, and there's actually no way to integrate it. Like, there's a lot of tools out there that allow you to like automatically post on Facebook and Twitter at the same time, for example. Right. This doesn't integrate with any of that. Probably the most common question we're seeing is like, well, what is this versus Google Plus? And I think it's, again, Google is divorcing Google Plus away from Google My Business. So Google Plus is like its own thing. So I like to think of Google Plus like another Facebook. Okay. It's totally separate from like the local results that you see on Google. So it's not at all related to Google Plus, any of this stuff that's being put out.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people think that they both are part of the same thing.
Yeah, no, Google's been like slowly removing every feature that integrates Google Plus with Google My Business. Like they've been doing it over the last couple of years, like slowly removing it. So nowadays, if you create a new listing, it doesn't even have a Google Plus page anymore attached to it. So I think when Google started, they had this idea in their head that they were going to combine the two products, and then they changed their mind. And so they've been trying to separate them. So this is just another piece, I think, that's coming out that is proving that like you now have all this functionality straight on Google. Google Plus is really like only something I would invest time in is if you have customers that are actually on Google Plus regularly and actually using the platform.
Yeah, I would think that more and more people are just sticking with the Google. I mean, the only reason I find stuff on Google Plus is because I have a Google Plus page and it lets me know when stuff gets posted. But other than that, I never even look at it. I always go to what I'm looking for in Google. So it's almost like Google Plus is almost wasted. Let's call it a dinosaur.
I mean, I use it for my business, and it works because there's a lot of marketers that are on Google Plus, and I've heard that there's a lot of photographers on Google Plus too. Like certain industries, I feel like use Google Plus, but I'd say contractors probably not. I mean, their clients probably not. It's one of those things you kind of have to take it depending on the industry and think, okay, like, do I actually have customers on this platform? And if I'm posting something, is anyone actually looking at that post? Right. Because I often will see people that, just post over and over and over again, and then there's absolutely no activity at all. Like no one's plus oneing it or commenting.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to find out if you're doing something that's working or it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. With this new Google Posts feature, it does have some insights. Like it tells you how many people saw your post, and then if anyone clicks on like the more details, it'll tell you how many people clicked on it. But there's nothing really like super advanced for tracking. At the end of the day, I think it's like just key to get your message out. I did have a plumber that used a coupon for like a discount on plumbing service, and we actually had customers like referencing the coupon, so we know it worked in that sense because people actually used it.
So that's on the. So that was one of the things I was just going to ask you about. Running a coupon or a special on the new platform, that it would work.
Yeah, I mean, I think Google had in mind, they always think of retail, right? So they're always thinking like, oh, you can put specials and sales and, stuff, which doesn't apply to every industry. But coupons are definitely one thing that consumers love to see.
That's excellent. I never really thought about that. So what's anything else new in that Google Local to help, contractor or even small business people realize that how important it is to find their business?
Yeah, so another thing, again, that Google launched in June was websites from Google My Business. So when you go into, again, you have to have a listing set up on Google to do this, and you have to have claimed it through Google My Business. It's all free, but one of the other things that they've launched now is websites where you literally go inside the Google My Business dashboard, and you, with a click of a button, can create a fully mobile responsive website, completely free. They look pretty nice. Like they're not anything crazy. I mean, like it's one page. It pulls in your details from the Google My Business dashboard. So it pulls in your photos, pulls in your address, your hours of operation, all that stuff, and creates like a nice little one pager so that people can contact you. I think it has a contact form on it. Completely free, does not take very long to set up. And it's a really perfect option for businesses that were maybe using their Facebook page as their main website. It's definitely a lot more user-friendly than a Facebook page. And I think this is has been a big push for like third world countries that, a lot of businesses don't have websites. When they first launched, I think they were really focusing on Brazil. But I think there's been over 250,000 sites created since it launched. So, I mean, it's been pretty substantial, the number of people that have set up their free websites. And it's definitely a good option for that business that doesn't really want to invest a ton in marketing online, but at least wants a way for their customers to be able to contact them. Because it's definitely not to replace your actual website. If you have an actual website, it's not better than your website for the most.
but it's if I'm thinking along the right lines, it's more of a landing page in a sense.
Yep.
And it could be used awesome for Google pay-per-click.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to invest in pay-per-click, I would still suggest getting an actual website. But this is really good for I see businesses all the time that don't have websites. Restaurants are notorious for that, but you'll often find them, and this is a really good option for people that don't have sites, or if they have a site that was built, 10 years ago, right. And they don't have the money or funds to make it mobile responsive. I think that's also really key, because if you have a site that does not work well on mobile, it's a big problem with Google.
Well, you were talking about restaurants being not having websites. You'd be surprised the amount of people in the service industry that do not have a website, and it just so this would be perfect for someone just starting out, getting up and going, because it's credibility. That's what people are looking for, is credibility. And I'm sure you tell people, listen, people are going to Google first, and they're finding out all their information, and by the time they get to click on your website, they've pretty much already made a decision. Yeah,
it's definitely a good idea for people that are starting out. I've got friends that, just do side jobs and things like that for tree work or, a handyman or whatnot. And I mean, this is a perfect option because they don't have the income yet to justify, paying a few $1,000s to build a site. But, this is free. It doesn't take a lot of expertise either. You don't have to be a tech genius to figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't experimented with it very much because, frankly, my customers all have websites, clearly, if they're investing in SEO.
Sure, they should, yes.
Yeah. So it hasn't been something that I've really messed around with much, but I would only really suggest people take advantage of it if they either have a really dated site or if they don't have a website at all. I've had lots of people that are like, ooh, I have this like, full blown site and will this give me some advantage? And I'm like, no, this is definitely not its purpose.
Is there anything that people can do with their websites to help them rank better on Google Local?
Oh gosh, endlessly, yes. There is like tons of things.
The gold mine. We just hit the gold mine.
Yeah. How do I cut this down? Yeah, I mean, your site is literally one of the main keys to where you rank. So I would say, one thing that a lot of people overlook is title tags, for example, which is a technical term for the name of each page on your site. When you're doing a Google search and you see the list of results, they always have a big headline that you click, and that headline is usually taken from the title of the page. Okay. So a lot of people forget about this, and they just leave, they put their site up, and then their title tag for their homepage is home. And that's what shows up in Google, or it doesn't help you rank very well for, things like plumber or electrician if your title tag is home. I think that's really important. And then also, like, people need to pay attention to mobile. This is often, like, forgotten. But normally when I'm doing audits on sites, I'll see, like, either their site condenses and it eliminates their phone number. You wouldn't believe how many sites I see that do that. So they'll shrink down, and when they shrink down, the phone number gets cut off because it was in the top right corner. And it's like, okay, so now everyone that's opening your website on their phone doesn't have a way easily to call you. So that's really important to, like, be aware of how it loads on a phone, and if you have a form, can people fill it out quickly if they've got fat fingers? My husband always has issues with that when he's on a phone because he's like 6'4" and he's trying to type with his fingers, and it's not always easy if the form is like tiny.
Yeah, well, the best thing is just call me now.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully, like, anyone that's investing in a site is using a good platform. I know WordPress is definitely the most popular platform that we get with small business owners. And there's so many things that you can do with WordPress to make the site, user-friendly and search engine friendly. But the list is honestly endless. But I would say content, if they're looking for like a couple different things, but, you have to have all your services outlined and described on your website. Each service should have its own page. If you want to rank well, that's kind of key and important.
Now, do reviews help on Google Local?
Huge, yeah. So they're a ranking factor, one of many. There's about 200 to 300 ranking factors that decide who gets to be, first, second, third, whatever. So it's never just one thing. I get people all the time that are like, well, I have more reviews than this guy. Why is he outranking me? And I'm thinking, wow, if it was that easy to rank, I wouldn't have a job, first of all. But honestly, it would be like ridiculous. The amount of spam you'd get would be through the roof. So it's definitely not that easy, but reviews do have a huge part. They're one of the more important ranking factors for sure. And it's also not even just a matter of like, getting your site listed. It's a matter of like, will people actually call you? And, if you're there with like 5 2-star or 1-star reviews, you're going to have your phone's not going to ring as much.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's going to be an asset or it can be a detriment. Depending on how, I know, it's amazing. I see guys out there all the time that, that are busy, and I look at their reviews and I'm going, I don't know how. They must be doing business with people who aren't looking for them on the internet.
Yeah. I was looking at a case in, I think it was in Cincinnati for, I think like one of the top ranked businesses right now for like Plumber Cincinnati was like this one business that's got like an average of like 1 or 2-star rating. And I'm thinking like, okay, this guy shows up. That's wonderful. But I don't think very many people are going to call them with that kind of rating. And they've done lots of studies that show, the higher rating businesses or the businesses with more reviews get more phone calls. So there's definitely lots of statistics that favor that. Interestingly, the average star rating that you want to have isn't actually 5. The best kind of score to have is anywhere from like 4.3 to 4.8 because it shows that your reviews are genuine. People tend to be slightly distrusting of businesses that have a 5-star rating because it's almost like, I mean, who's perfect, right?
Right. Yeah. And I even think, you know, that should be transparent too. And if you've got not a bad one, but one that says, okay, then, you know, people have to weigh that too, not just take that one for granted. Mm-hmm. But then they see that because, you know, it's like and a lot of times I'll have customers that will say to me, do you have any, you know, people that we can call for references? I said, sure. I said, do you want the good ones or the bad ones? And they go, what? I said, listen, I've been doing this for 25 years. I said I try to make everybody happy, but I know there's no way, so I would be happy to give them both to you. And they'll go, forget it.
That's funny.
Yeah, and I'll go, okay, you know, because I'm willing to give them everybody. It doesn't, you know, because my intent has always been to do my best, and everyone knows that. And there's people that I haven't been able to be happy. They haven't been able to make them happy, but in the end, they said that I did everything that I could. They just, you know, weren't. Whatever happened. There's a bad day, bad week, bad hair day. You know, it happens to everybody.
No, fair enough. Yeah, like even the best businesses will have the odd customer, you know, that maybe is not satisfied and stuff. So I always tell people it's not really a big deal if you have the odd negative review. As long as it's not your only review, you're fine.
Yeah, right.
If it's your only review, then you're in some trouble. But, you know, that's why I think it's really important to make sure that you're asking customers for reviews. Because if you don't ask, you won't get them, at least not nearly as much.
Right.
So the biggest thing that people just don't do is they don't ask. They think for some reason that they are inconveniencing their customers. And they're like, oh, I wouldn't want to ask. And I'm thinking, like, no, like in this day and age, it's totally fine to ask. And if they don't want to take 2 minutes to do it, they won't. So it's really like nothing to lose by asking.
And I think a lot of times, you know, if you do it, what I'll do is I'll just take from what they've said, you know, to me about the experience they had. I'll put it in. I'll write it for them and say, this is what I perceived, you know, the way you interact with our company. Would you give us a review and please change anything that you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, that would be challenging to do on Google in the sense that you have to post it under an account, and the account would have the person's name on it and stuff.
Right.
So,
right.
I know, like, in the past, people would create accounts for different people, but that's technically against Google's terms of service, so they'll remove the reviews if they see you doing that. But, I mean, definitely anyone that has an Android phone already has a Google account. They're already logged in. All they have to do is open up the Google Maps app and search for your business, and they can literally leave you a review with, like, less than 30 seconds. It's that easy. And even if they're like, okay, they've got an iPhone, if they have the Google Maps app installed, again, like, they can still leave you a review very quickly.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, usually, and I mean, depending on how you ask and whatnot, I mean, most people will get about 20 to 40% of the users they ask will actually leave a review. So just depending on your methods and stuff, it's a pretty good success rate.
So that's better than 100% of not asking.
Exactly. So, and I mean, you never know when you're going to get the first negative review. So it's always best to have a large number of good reviews to offset it.
Right.
The negative reviews are, it's like, it's this whole thing, but there was an article that this guy named Mike Blumenthal wrote years ago, I think like in 2010, and it talks about how to respond to negative reviews if you do get one. Google My Business allows you to post responses to reviews.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it appears right below the review. If someone's reading it, you can see the owner responses. I'd say huge majority of businesses don't even bother to do this, which is unfortunate. But for the ones that I have seen that respond to negative reviews, like 9 times out of 10, they actually do more harm than good by responding because they respond angry.
Right.
And,
yeah.
like, defensive and consumers always side with other consumers, even if they don't know them. So if I'm reading this like negative review about a business and I don't have any clue who wrote it, I'm still going to more likely side with the consumer in the story than the business owner.
Sure.
Like people are just more trusting of other consumers. And so when I see a response from the business owner that's like, well, first of all, you weren't even a customer and you clearly lied and made this review up. Like I've seen responses like this all the time.
Yeah,
they're like, oh, we checked our customer database and there's no one named Joe Smith in our database, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, okay, like people create pseudonyms when they post reviews. They don't always use the real name, first of all.
Yeah, right.
So there's like lots of reasons why that may not even be a valid point. But like the biggest thing for people to realize is like, you know, when they're responding to negative reviews, you have to come across apologetic, even if you didn't do anything wrong. You have to show future customers how you are solving that problem and that they will not experience that problem if they hire you. So it needs to really be apparent that like, first of all, you care and, you know, you're not being just defensive and argumentative with the person that posted it. Because in cases like that, I really think they just would have been better off not replying at all. Because it's just a wormhole.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? And if you've got the opportunity, you know, because that's a great that could be a great turnaround for other people who are looking to just say, well, you know, he responded and in a professional manner, and he was willing to try to solve the problem, you know, and maybe he knew about it, maybe he didn't, and so that's going to, depending on how, you know, it can be a great marketing tool on the positive side if done correctly.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Something I would definitely, tell people to take advantage of, but only if they are willing to, you know, take a deep breath. And if they're not, you know, humorous in the reply or like overly polite and stuff, like I wouldn't bother replying. I would hold off or ask someone else to reply for you. You know, someone that's not personally involved, who isn't offended by the comment. That can be another way to go about leaving a response.
Yeah. They look at it from a different perspective. Not involved.
I remember the company I used to work at did that. We got a negative review one time, and I actually asked someone else to write the response for me, just because I was like, you know what, I'm going to ask someone who's like not at all associated, that has, you know, no invested interests in the business, and they wrote a good response.
All right, see, that's the way to do it. See,
yeah.
So now you can hire Joy to do that for you. No, I'm just
kidding. There you go.
Whatever it takes, right?
I may not. You may not like what I come up with.
Well, it's going to be way better than what they came up with.
Yeah, for sure. What types of issues do you find like the contractors that you talk to and work with have when it comes to Google?
You know, I think a lot of them look at Google, and I know I have in the past years, as just being a huge beast and not really knowing what to do. But I think that as time goes on with all the different marketing that's available, I'm a big direct response marketer, but you can still do that through Google. So, Google's a tool that I think people should really look into. I think they shy away from it because it can be complex, but when, there's people like you that can, consult with them and train them and teach them and, like even do pay-per-click with them and do the important things, I think that it's time for contractors to get more people on their team to help their businesses grow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if I was giving advice specifically to contractors too, I would say, definitely I've seen a lot of different industries that have had a lot of success with stuff like this, but one of the key things is to make sure that you have someone regularly that's answering phones and able to get out quotes and things like that. That's been one of the biggest challenges that I've noticed with anything home service related, is just people not answering their phones, or they're out on job sites and they, have all their calls going to their cell phone, and then they can't answer their phone, and then they just lose so many leads because the person just hangs up and calls the next guy.
Yeah, do it real quick.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, I can't even get over, like, when I hire people for all kinds of various different things for my house, how many people don't call me back? Like, it's astounding. Like, I'll leave messages even sometimes, or like submit a contact form on their website, and I won't hear anything. One guy got back to me 2 weeks later. I'm like, yeah, I've already like come and gone.
Wow. And so, I've done stuff on just to see how people respond with their stuff on the internet, because they have other contact forms, and I don't think I've ever had anybody contact me from a contact form on the internet. So why would you even put a contact form?
Yeah. Don't invest anything in PPC or SEO unless you've got someone really good to get your calls and schedule things so that people actually have a human voice to talk to, because that's really key. You're not going to see a very good ROI if you don't have that in place.
Even if it's a live answering service for now. Yeah,
those work well for sure. If you don't have the ability to come to the phone, or you don't have like a secretary or anyone that works for you. Definitely those are great ways to capture more leads.
Yeah, and I think people will wait, a little bit. You say, as long as the call is answered now, and they'll say, hey, Dave's is not available right now, but I'm going to text him and he'll call you within the next 30 minutes. Is that okay? And they'll go, yeah, that's fine, because you're responding. You've actually touched that nerve that they've got someone that actually responded to the call right now. So
yeah, well, and Google's trying so hard to push fast responses as well, because they realize that's what consumers want. And the other feature that they launched in, I think, June as well, like June was crazy, was messaging, which is currently everywhere in the U.S. I don't think it's anywhere else yet. But it's also another feature inside the Google My Business dashboard where you can hook up your listing to like a cell phone or a phone that gets SMS messages. And it allows the user on Google to send you a message, which gets texted to you, and then you can like reply.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're all about getting users answers and stuff quickly, right? So trying to come up with more ways to do that, but it's just a matter of keeping up with everything.
I can't imagine. That's why, I think that's one of the biggest things is there's people try to get, there's so much stuff within their own business they try to keep up with, and then you add something like this to the mix, which I think is important, but there again, the person they hire needs to understand that too.
Oh, for sure. Like Google's constantly, they have a new feature that they're coming out with later this week that I'm part of a group, part of the forum that I participate on where I'm a top contributor. They give us all kinds of information and tell us about stuff before they actually launch it to the public. So I often get to test out things before they come out to everyone else, which is always fun. But yeah, there's more stuff coming, even later this week that's, I think, going to impact small businesses quite a bit. And, they just have been cranking out the features this year. So it's a lot for people to stay on top of.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Even agencies, there's so many marketing agencies that, trying to keep up with best tactics for their clients. And it's, crazy trying to keep up with it all. So that's part of the reason why I actually started my own business and then started writing the training guide that I author, because I was just it's just so much to keep up with. I wanted to have something that was constantly updated and that people would know would be current, so that they're not looking around trying to figure out if they have the best, latest information kind of thing.
Yeah, because it changes so fast.
It does. It's nuts. Things that used to work a year ago don't work. And yeah, it's just interesting. It's constantly... Yeah. Never gets boring, though, which is nice.
I'll bet. So that's pretty awesome. All this neat stuff that's coming up and all the stuff that's in place just since, within the past few months. And like you said, that last year is outdated. And, man. So so you do local search engine optimization, advanced local SEO training. You do consulting on short or long term. And then you do pay-per-click also in your business. So how can our listeners get in touch with you if they would like to find out more about...
Welcome to another edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.